Well, welcome everyone. This is Mike Newland with Event1 Software. I'm the president and CEO of the firm. And today we are going to take a look at Event1 Forecast. And before I jump into the software itself, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of talk a little bit about where this product came from and what the business objectives are that we're trying to meet. And this may resonate with folks on the line here, because this is probably something that you're either currently doing in some fashion or have a desire to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump into kind of talking about, again, where this product came from and the forecasting process that we've seen prior to the product that we built. And so back probably in the 2001-2000 time period, we worked with a customer of ours who had this great idea about forecasting, and what they were observing was that they were wanting to do forecasting on their projects where, the way they described their current process, it was something like this. They would go into job costs and they would run a report, and it wasn't maybe this specific report, but it was something like this. Let's see if I can pick the right one actually. Okay, so it could be a report maybe similar to this one here, where they get a view of all the costs on the job, the estimate, the committed amount, might have been some other values and whatnot. And using this report, then they would hand the report off to the project manager, and it might have had like blanks in it and whatnot for them to write in the project manager's forecasted cost to complete, or the percent complete the project manager thought they were done with a given code. Things of that nature. Some way of measuring, where they're at progress-wise, so that they could forecast out the projected cost at completion and any over or under that might be expected. And so they would begin the process with a report like that. They'd solicit information from the project manager, and then using Sage 300 or Timberline at the time, then they would go back into job cost and use the miscellaneous worksheets function, which you might be familiar with. And I'll just kind of show real quick what that looks like for those of you that don't know. So they use the miscellaneous worksheets function to record what the project manager gave them. And now that data would be in the database, and then they were able to then produce another report showing the calculations that result. So taking whatever the input was from the project manager, combining that with the actual values, and they would calculate things like over and under and projected cost of completion, projected profit, things like that. The problem with that is they identified for us a few challenges. One was just the time it takes to do that whole process. The printing the reports, soliciting the feedback, entering the data into miscellaneous worksheets. And in some companies we talked to, they were taking the approach of just having the project manager do part of this, like going into miscellaneous worksheets and enter the values themselves. And they're getting some resistance to that because project managers didn't want to have to go into job cost and do that work, just because it's kind of alien to them. It's not a tool that they use every day. So there are some challenges in that process. And the time that it would take sometimes to turn that whole process around would be a few days, even a week. And in that amount of time, some of these values would have changed, like the job to date cost has changed and things of that nature. So then now the outcome of the analysis is no longer really current. It's no longer valid. So what they were looking for was a way to make this something that project managers would easily adopt, that would be efficient and timely, so that they would get results right away that they could actually use to implement or use to manage their jobs. And so the suggestion was, hey, could we do this in Excel, but keep all of the things we like about you doing it in Timberline, like being able to pull in current data and being able to write that data back into Timberline and use it on other reports. And so we said, yeah, that seems like a great idea. We could actually do that. So hence we built the forecast application. And I'm just going to show a quick example of what one of these forecast worksheets looks like, and then I'll kind of step through kind of how the product works in general. So let me just open up one of these Excel workbooks. So the idea behind this is, again, we're leveraging Excel for this. So it's not as intimidating. Now, this particular example I'm showing has probably a lot more columns in it, columns of values, than what a lot of companies might use. There are some simpler templates that you can use with forecasts that have fewer columns. But the idea is that, again, we're pulling information out of job cost, assembling a worksheet for you, and then the yellow cells, and hopefully they'll show up as yellow on your display. The yellow cells indicate where someone would type in their input for the progress on the job. And as you type in values, then things recalculate real time. And so they immediately see what their over/under would be projected to be, and the totals recalculate, and so on and so forth. So they get immediate feedback on what their inputs are. So let me just kind of step back a little bit and walk through that process of what using forecast would look like. So what we see here is the Forecast Manager application, and this is integrated with Sage 300. What I see in the list here is the list of all of my forecast workbooks that I currently have that I'm using. I can add more workbooks to the list as I add more jobs. I can drop workbooks off of here as jobs finish up. Shows what folder they're in, which I might have those organized maybe by project manager. So each project manager might have their own folder, for example. So let's kind of take a look at first of just how to add a new workbook to the list, and then I'll kind of step through the process and identify any questions anyone has. So at the beginning of a job is typically when you would do this. So I'd identify the job, identify the template, and the concept here is that we recognize that, if I talk to 10 different companies, I probably see 10 different ways of doing forecasting, right? Everyone kind of has their own flavor for that. And so what we see here is 11, not 10, but 11 different templates. And we have about over 200 different templates actually in our library of pre-built templates that are already ready to go. And these templates identify which set of columns we're going to use, what our forecasting methodology is, whether we're going to enter percent complete, cost to complete, cost at completion, or if you're doing something unit-based, like using production units, identifies what the formulas are, then what calculations we want to see on the report, all those sorts of things. So, and also the level of detail, whether they're at the category or cost code level of detail, or a group cost code level. So those are the different types of templates that are available. And most companies usually settle on one of those out of that library of 200 and some templates, and find one that will fit what they want to do. And if not, we can actually customize the template as well to accommodate other needs. So what I'm going to do is select just the basic cost to complete at the cost code level as my template. I can identify the name of the workbook that I'm going to create with that. And then email address is optional. That's just if I want to make use of the email functionality and be able to send out notices to project managers about changes to their workbooks when they've been refreshed and things like that. So at this point, it's querying the Sage 300 database, and then it's building the Excel workbook. And again, this step we would do one time. So going forward, it's just a matter of refreshing it. And during the refresh, it would add any new cost codes that have been added if necessary, and refresh all the values. And the workbook that it creates is really, it can operate just as an ordinary Excel workbook. So you don't have to have any special software on your machine to load it or to open it. And so that's one nice thing, is that you could actually send this out to the field, and a project manager could open it up on their notebook and at the job site even, and just using Excel be able to work with that. So if I open that up now, I see something similar to the one we looked at earlier. This is a little bit different flavor based on the different template. And again, I can see that I can type in values here, and they recalculate the totals or the formulas and whatnot as I'm doing my work. And I can scroll down to the end and see that the outcome on the overall contract and so forth. And again, everything in yellow is where I can enter values. And some of these fields then can be written back into job cost. So if I wanted to use some of these values, like on a work in process report or other reporting, I can then do that. Now we identified in this template anything writing back is starred, so you see an asterisk next to the column H and an asterisk next to column I. So those two columns get written back, and they go back into the same fields that they would go into if you're using miscellaneous worksheets. So they go into this miscellaneous amount fields, and comments also write back to the notes field. So I can save my work, and when I go back to Forecast Manager, that workbook now shows up as having been modified. And so now at this point, the project manager probably already has what they want. They have the end resulting calculations and the projected over-under, so they're good. Now if we want to send that data into job cost for further reporting, I just click on the post option, and it's actually running through every workbook that has a check mark next to it right now, and posting those values back. Okay, so let that finish up here. Okay, and this message is popping up just indicating that I'm making use of a new feature we just recently added to the software that allows Forecast to work in conjunction with the Office Connector product for importing those changes to the miscellaneous worksheets as transactions. It's not necessary that you do that. We can just simply write them right into the database without creating transactions, but that's just a new feature that we decided to add based on some customer feedback. So that kind of completes the cycle. And then the next time that I refresh the workbook, I just pull in new values, and I would see additional tabs then on the workbook for each reporting cycle represented. Let's see here. So I'm going to go ahead at this point and first off ask if anyone has any questions. You can ask or chat those questions via the meeting center. I'm going to go ahead and also show you some resources where you can get some additional information if you're interested. So if you go to our website, that's just www.event1software.com with the numeral 1. And then go to the products menu and forecast. And so there's information there about the forecast product, provides some additional features and details and whatnot about what that product does. There is a link here where you can download it. You can download a 15-day evaluation and install it and try it out. There's also a link over here on the right. So if you want more information than what we're covering in this little 15-minute slot of time, we will be conducting some more in-depth presentations next week. So just bring that up, and when you click on it, it'll show the webinar schedule that we have for next week. And these are a little bit longer presentations,